All right, guys, welcome back. This is Dr. Jesse Morse. Today, we are going to discuss the Jacksonville Jaguars running back Leonard Fournette's hamstring injury. Now, I hesitated a second there because the guy's had so many different injuries. Unfortunately, he seems to be, I don't know if I would call him injury prone, but either way, he's had a lot of injuries in his short career in the NFL and even his time in college. So what do we know? He suffered a hamstring injury yesterday while playing the New York Giants after running 9 carries for 41 yards, which is a 4.6 yard per carry clip, and catching 3 receptions for 14 yards. So he was already on his way to a potentially monster day, or very solid day at the least, before he went out with this. Unfortunately, when he went out with this, he was trying to stretch it on the sideline and he just couldn't get loose, which is quite common. At that point, it was decided that he just was not going to return for the rest of the game. So reports came out today, Monday, that said this is a quote-unquote mild injury. Now, I hate when the coach says this because sometimes they're baiting us a little bit. Unlike, say, Doug Baldwin, where they said this is a grade 2 MCL sprain, a hamstring injury that's quote-unquote mild is almost vague. I would have preferred if they said this is a grade 1 injury with minimal swelling and I expect him to be back in 1 to 2 weeks. That would have been fine. But the fact that they said it was quote-unquote minor makes it a little more challenging because now it muddies the water. Hamstring injuries in general are notorious in preseason and the first, say, 4 weeks of the season. As humidities are high, as guys aren't properly conditioned for the NFL field right now, they're just kind of reactivating their muscles and everything. So these are notorious, especially the running backs who are trying to escape a tackle or hit that full stride and whatnot. So if he plays in week 2, I want nothing to do with him. Not only is he playing my Patriots, and they will knock him out in terms of shut him down as much as they can, like they did DeAndre Hopkins yesterday, but they also, he's very high risk for re-injury. If he comes back too soon, he will re-injure this hamstring. And not only will he re-injure it, he will be out for much longer than he should have been if he didn't go back this quickly. I'll give you a perfect example. The Titans, Corey Davis in 2017. All the talent in the world, but unfortunately suffered a hamstring injury in preseason, came back after a couple weeks. I don't know if he was not 100% ready. Either way, he re-injured it and basically was done for the rest of the year because he was very ineffective the entire year. This could very well be Leonard Fournette's season, even if this is only a mild or moderate strain, predominantly because you have to be careful. These guys think they're superhuman. They don't like to listen to the team docs. They like to defy odds because they've been able to do that their whole life. But unfortunately, hamstrings and groin injuries are notorious for re-injuring very easily. Now, what can they do to help with this? Now, if this is a pretty severe injury, then I would suggest something like PRP, which is a platelet-rich plasma, which they basically pull blood out of the arm, they spin it down to the growth factor-rich layers in a centrifuge, and then re-inject it into the tendon or ligament or around that area after doing a little bit of dry needling. This is what I do in my practice. Now, this has been shown to significantly help speed recovery, but I would only do it if this is more of a grade 2 or a moderate because A, he's going to have to be shut down for probably a good week, and he's going to be in a lot of pain because you can't take anti-inflammatories. In addition, I would expect them to do a lot of rehab, a lot of cold and that type of stuff. He can use anti-inflammatories. The data is kind of wishy-washy on whether or not it prohibits healing. That's about the extent of what maybe wrapping it is another consideration, but that's kind of about it. That's the problem, is we can't really do much for these. Hopefully he did not have a severe injury, which would be more of a grade 3, and that would usually translate to surgery, meaning the tendon or ligament is literally, actually the tendon is ripped off the bone. That would be a big deal, and he would likely be done for the whole year. So it remains to be seen how significant this injury is. Either way, TJ Yeldon is the bell cow while Fournette is out, as he displayed decent numbers in the second half of last night's win versus the Giants. What else can I tell you? For what it's worth, if you want to know about the 4 phases of rehab, as Fournette will likely be going through this, they are not static in that you can kind of go into one simultaneously, but the first is really controlling pain and inflammation through the Price principle: protection, rest, ice, compression, and elevation. You can also do some cryotherapy, stuff like that. The second and third steps are more restoring motion, strength, and endurance. And the fourth is kind of getting your functional strength back in terms of neuromuscular control, sport-specific exercises and stuff. So if you're expecting him to do all of that in 6 days, good luck. Obviously, the goal is to kind of reassess and address the fitness issues and qualities that were lost during the injury and try to kind of bring them back. And obviously improve his range of motion so that he can stay healthy and on the field. The kid is dynamic. He has a chance to be the leading running back in the NFL, talent-wise, but he can't stay healthy, and we already know this. We saw this last year. I told you this in my Injuries 101 podcast on his episode early in August or late July. You can go back and check it out if you'd like. He is a guy who deals with a lot of lower extremity injuries, and this is another one. All right, so that's all I have for Leonard Fournette. This is Dr. Jesse Morse for the Fantasy Doctors. This is the Injuries 101 podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe. You can hit the bell if you're watching on YouTube. Also, check out some of my other podcasts, but you can check them on any medium, whether it's Apple or Google Play or Spotify or so many different ones. Injury down. Looks like I have another one to write about. Take care. Check out some of my other videos and podcasts, and feel free to reach out to me at Dr. Jesse Morse, or you can check me on my website, www.drjessemorse.com. Check out the Fantasy Doctors website. We have a ton of cool stuff on there, and the Fantasy Dose as well. All right, take care, guys.